Okay, this is mostly for my own records, but I thought maybe that you people would like to hear what I've sent a formal letter to formally report abuse, etc., to the administrator. And I thought maybe you'd like to see what I wrote, give you some ideas if you need them. It has my name, my room number, the facility I'm at, the date. And then it has the name of the administrator. And then under there, obviously facility administrator, because that's his job, and what facility he's the administrator of. Then there's a subject line. Now you can add the addresses in if you want to. I didn't because he's right up the hall, really. I did fax this, just so I have it in my records and so forth. But he faxed it over there. You know what I'm saying? Then you have the subject line. Reference or RE colon. Formal complaint of neglect, abuse, and unsafe practices. Dear so-and-so, I write to formally lodge serious complaints regarding standard of care, abuse, and unsafe practices I've experienced since my admission to Windsor House. As a 60-year-old resident with severe paralysis from a diaphragm down and multiple sclerosis, I'm fully dependent on your staff for all activities of daily living. To date, your facility has, and there's a bulleted list. Unsafe transfer leading to fall injury. I was dropped from a raised bed 3.5 feet high due to lack of bed railings and an untrained staff requiring a therapist to lift me. Neglect of care plan. Staff routinely fail to place me into my wheelchair by 9 a.m. as required by my care plan, sometimes delaying until noon. Ignoring call light requests. CNAs have ignored my activated call lights for basic needs such as hydration, eating, and toileting. Of course, toileting would be, use the urinal, or back when before I used the urinal. And then obviously hydration is when I get refused and nobody wants to give me with some water when I need water. And eating is when, I realize they gave me the wrong food and they still need a meal, and CNAs aren't responding to the call. And I mean, literally, they're right outside the door. I popped the lid off that length of time. They're right there somewhere. And I hit the call light before they get away from me, and they're gone. They don't bother to answer the call light. They just keep on going, wherever they're going. So I have to wait either an hour, depending on whether my wheelchair was working at the time or not. I either have to wait until somebody bothers to come back in. Sometimes it's an hour or more, to take away the tray, or if they didn't take away the tray, which has happened, then I wait until somebody finally comes and answers the call light, which sometimes took an hour and a half, and I'm sitting there with no meal. That's what that was about. Next is discriminatory tray removal. Staff, this sounds petty, but listen. Staff remove trays for other residents while ignoring mine, resulting in neglectful and unequal treatment. That meant, the reason that I put that in there is because for a week solid, well, pretty close to a week, I might have 4 days instead of 5, I had to take my own tray out. Oh no, it was all week plus the weekend, and then a day or two the next week. So, I mean, it was every meal. Primarily because of the girl that I complained that didn't clean him properly, just in that last video. She was the one. I mean, she's got a lot of the CNAs here right now have an attitude towards me. I don't know if it's it's probably both, because of what that one said. I have no idea what she said, and because I've been complaining and saying that the CNAs don't know the job. Because the ones that don't know the job don't know it. I've had CNAs come in here that know that they're supposed to do that. Those aren't the ones I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ones that don't know or don't think they're supposed to clean you up properly. That's what I'm talking about. So it's one or both of those reasons is why I've had a problem with them neglecting to come in here and take my tray. And if I don't take the tray out, it stays until next meal, which could be the next day. You know, if it's a dinner meal, it could be the next morning, like 12 hours, 14 hours, you know, between dinner and breakfast. So that whole time that the meal is just sitting there rotting. Unreal. I've actually had a CNA. I said, "What?" This is when I was stuck in the bed. I said, "Could you take that tray out?" So, well, they'll take it out of here when they bring in your next meal. What? So that whatever's left there, those veggies and potatoes and possibly meat or whatever, gravy is going to sit there for what? 6, 8 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever it happens to be. And that's if the meal is the same day. And then if it's the next day, 14 hours. I don't understand. Is that what they do at home? I guarantee that, I would hope they don't do that at home. Half the things that they do here. All right, next one is verbal and emotional abuse. Kind of went light on that since one of them is a guy saying, "Shut the fuck up." And another one is a female calling me a pervert who doesn't work with me anymore. Called me that so she didn't have to work with me anymore. Why are we letting basically the lowest person on the totem pole dictate who they work with? I don't understand that. Management, we had verbal and emotional abuse. Staff, including an LPN, have made belittling comments such as, quote, "What are you fussing about now?" That's literally been said to me multiple times by this LPN. That's intimidation. Which is next? Well, it's verbal emotional abuse, but it's also intimidation. Retaliation and intimidation. Management mocked and dismissed my prior complaints, making me feel intimidated and silenced. Dismissed would be, "What are you fussing about now?" I mean, it's kind of the same thing. But dismissed also happens to be not doing investigations when I'm making complaints, etc. and so on. Sorry about that, boys. Right at the table. Failure to investigate or report. My grievances were neither properly investigated nor reported to the Alabama Department of Public Health. Hold on, I think I paged too far. Where did it go? Here it is. My grievances were neither properly investigated nor reported to the Alabama Department of Public Health as required. This is by law, by the way. Leadership directing staff to ignore call lights. Supervisors instructed CNAs that they did not need to respond to my call lights. That would be, for instance, the girl who complained about me. I don't know what she said, but she doesn't have to even bother answering my call light. I looked it up, whether I'm her primary responsibility or not, it's still her job to answer the call lights and make sure I'm not dying. And she doesn't bother. And that goes to the heart of a huge problem here, is that in her opinion, she doesn't think in a million years anything's going to happen to me. What if it did? If it did, I'd be here and there would be nothing done, because she's sitting out there at the nurse's station, playing on the computer and not answering her call light, her or somebody else. That includes not just a girl who doesn't want to work with me at all, but if I happen to be assigned to some other CNA, they do the same thing. And they shouldn't be doing that. Any employee of this facility shouldn't do that, as ignore a call light. That includes the maintenance, housekeeping, everybody. If a call light comes on, you make sure that person doesn't need 911 calls. It just blows my mind how they just walk by. How many people, and then 2 people have died that I know of since I've been here. And both of them, it's right at shift change or food or when we're going to eat or after eating, really. So how many of them had a call light on and nobody responded to their call light because they were too busy? And then they walked in finally and discovered a dead person. Maybe never, but maybe at least once. Would not surprise me at all. If I'm here, that's how I'm going to die. I'm either choked to death or stop breathing because I'll forget or whatever. My muscles will stop working or whatever. So if I hit that call light because I want them to intubate me or whatever, and nobody's going to answer the call light, why should I feel secure? I'm just going to suffocate to death. That's it. Nobody's going to answer the call light. Next is failure to investigate a report. I've already did that. Next, leadership directing staff to ignore call lights. Failure to perform proper. The next one. Failure to perform proper perineal hygiene. That's we used to call it taint when I was younger. CNAs consistently failed to clean the penis, scrotum, and full perineal area, resulting in poor hygiene. That happens so frequently. It's crazy. It makes me wonder about the kids, because a lot of these CNAs have kids. Are you telling me you do this? This is how you treat your kids? You let them walk around nasty? And how do you live with yourself, letting grown people just be nasty all the time because you don't feel like doing it? That's your job. That's why you picked that job. That's why I keep saying you don't know your job, because that's what you're supposed to do. I would think it would more be the resident. Oh, don't touch me there. In the CNA having to say, hey, look, I'm a professional. This is how we do it. I'm going to be as quick as possible, whatever. I would more think that's the case, but it's not. It's the other way. You have to coax the CNA to actually properly clean you. What? According to everything I've found, if they have a personal problem with that, they're supposed to be talking to a nurse or a CNA that's done it a while, that knows what they're talking about, to help them through it so they can continue to do what they're supposed to do. To realize, and I had to go through that same process back in the beginning. I didn't want anyone touching me. And then, after a while, the doctor telling me I'm giving myself infections and stuff, I just had to deal with it. I had to deal with having somebody come to my house and clean me up. And now I'm in nursing homes. I have to do it here. And the CNAs don't want to do it. The people that came to my house did it. And they weren't even CNAs. They just answered an ad in the paper. They weren't even medically trained. It wasn't even part of the, well, it was part of the job because that's why they were there. But CNAs are supposed to know all, based on how the CNA cleans me and how those females, there was 2 of them, clean me at home. The CNAs do it much better, but the people at home didn't have, they probably did have trouble, doing what they had to do, but they just still did it. Neglect of priority call light responses. CNA prioritized check and change for others before responding to active resident requests, which is improper. there's a whole lot of reasons why that's wrong. One is that check and change is really meant for people who do not tell them. They can't or they won't tell them that they need to be changed. That's why it's called check and change. You're supposed to see if they need to be changed and change them if they need to. But there's a lot of people here that know that they need to be, and they hit the call light. Well, you're not supposed to wait until you're done with that and then go back to them. You're supposed to not stop in the middle, but when you come out of that room, you notice there's a light on, you go and you answer the call light, do whatever, give them water or change them, whatever, and then go back to doing what you were doing. That's how you're supposed to do it. I've asked multiple nurses and they all say the same thing. That's exactly how you're supposed to do it. Another thing is that they try to, they're not even in here, is when trays are on the floor, they can't do anything to till trays are off the floor. Not correct. They're supposed to do it. Let's say I need to be changed. They're supposed to give me my food last after they change me. They're supposed to change me, give me my food so I'm not eating, sitting in my own filth. And then they go out, they let us eat our meal, then they collect the trays, etc. They think you're supposed to put them out, let us eat, then collect them, then change. No, I've asked multiple nurses, higher ups management, and no, that is not what you're supposed to do. As a matter of fact, the administrators say the same thing. Not this one, I've not talked to him, but the other one in the other place. There's that, and I guess that covers it. Yeah, as far as prior to call light, failure to serve properly heated meals. Approximately 8 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10. It's getting better now. Meals served to me are cold or room temperature, increasing the chance of foodborne illness. What I mean by it's better now is that before, it was every meal. Every single meal. Instead of 8 out of every 10, I'd say maybe 8 out of 100 was cold. Before, now it's more like 7 out of 10, maybe 6 out of 10. It's getting better. It just hasn't got there yet. Depends on who's on, really. Failure to provide in foodborne illness, salmonella. How long has that food been sitting? If it's room temperature or colder, especially since I have heat lamps and steam, I forget what they call them, but ways to keep it hot. And it's ice cold. I've sat up there and watched it go from kitchen to here. I've got it within 5 minutes of it leaving, of it coming out of the kitchen. And it's ice cold. Why? All right, next one. Failure to provide properly fitting mattress. For 3 months, I have been using a mattress that does not fit my bed, endangering my safety. The mattress that's on my bed is about probably 18 inches, 16 inches, 18 inches too short for the bed and for me. My pillow actually sits on, it's not even a mattress, it's some cushion that's been put in here to keep the mattress from sliding up and down. All right, and the mattress is too narrow. So when I try to turn, when I'm being washed or putting my clothes on, and I try to turn, I'm actually too close. I have to push myself over to one side of the bed to turn, and then push myself back that way to turn the other way. It's crazy. And then because the rails are broken, it's hard for me to turn, period. Which is probably the next one. Failure to maintain functional bed rails. My bed rails do not stay locked. One of them continuously falls, and I have to ask CNAs to pick it up for me to roll, and stuff. My bed rails do not stay locked. I can bend them inward and outward or easily with one arm, making repositioning unsafe and causing skin injuries. If I'm laying there, I can literally grab the top of the bed rails and just push them back out. Now, if I turn very slowly, I think I'm not bending it very much, a little bit maybe. But like if I just grab it and pull myself over, which is what I'm used to doing, it just bends right over. Failure to provide reliable transportation for critical medical care. Windsor House has repeatedly rescheduled my surgery and multiple sclerosis infusions because they refuse to provide a qualified driver for this facility's own shuttle bus, which is exactly the same as what I use citywide, right? And he tried to tell me, the administrator tried to tell me that maintenance told him it was a different size. Unless somebody modified the inside, it's exactly what I'm supposed to be using, because the lift that's on it is geared for this motorized wheelchair. It holds over 1,000 pounds. It's the only one you can use. The other one lifts you can't use because they don't hold this wheelchair. So I know, and not only that, if you, aside from the paint, it's the same exact shuttle bus. So unless somebody modified the inside, it's for this wheelchair. Where did I read? Did I read this part? Windsor House has repeatedly rescheduled the surgery, multiple sclerosis infusions, because they refuse the facility's own shuttle bus, relying instead on public transportation. These delays endangered my health. Oh yeah, when they reschedule my infusion, big time. Because when I'm not on, when in between those rescheduled times, I don't have, I'm not protected. I could have a relapse and suddenly be a talking head, and that's it. That's that. Or I could die, for crying out loud. Requested corrective actions. This is another heading. Within 10 business days. Cool. Immediate retraining of CNAs on safe transfers, hygiene, nutritional standards, and call-out response. Now, nutritional standards goes because if I have a problem and I need my meal replaced or whatever, the CNA is supposed to do that. It's the people that are staffed here, the CNAs, the nurses, that are required to give me a meal. It's not the kitchen staff. They're another third-party company. So is that how you're getting away with it? Because you're saying, hey, it's not us, it's them. And they're saying the same thing, because technically, I don't think they're responsible at all to give us a meal. The only thing is whether they're fired and you go to somebody else. That is their only responsibility. The responsibility is actually on the CNA. And that's where nutritional standards comes in. The CNA and the nurse. Immediate replacement of my mattress and replacement of my bed rails. Enforcement of my care plan to ensure placement into my wheelchair by 9 a.m. daily. Immediate hiring or assignment of a qualified shuttle bus driver to prevent further delays in critical medical care. Full investigations into each incident and forwarding of investigation summaries to me and ADPH. Disciplinary action against any responsible staff members. There's quite a few that I can think of need to be, there's 2 that I know of that should be told to go up the road. They should be fired immediately. But it's not my choice. A written apology and assurance that no retaliation will occur. I've already seen that because they found out about my YouTube site. Failure to address these issues promptly will result in escalation to your corporate office, the long-term care ombudsman, the Alabama Department of Public Health, and, if necessary, civil litigation action. Sincerely, me, my room, and my facility. So there, now I've made a video that talks about the form. I faxed that form today at a little after 4. I heard nothing. I don't know if he was here or not, but I'm sure, I would hope we're going to hear something. If I don't, I'm going to move on up to the corporate offices next, and then civil litigation. And I haven't even said everything. You know, it's not like those bullet points are one incident. Some of those bullet points are multiple incidents over almost a year. You know, almost daily. Some of them are daily, you know. So anyway, I'm going to cut this short. 25 minutes to read that document and add some commentary to a couple of the bullet points. Okay, like, comment, subscribe. If you can, send me some crypto at cryptic.blockchain, and I'll see you next time. Bye.